ladies and gentlemen. Great thanks for an opportunity to present in front of such esteemed audience. The presentation I'm going to make is a short extract from a book I just recently published, The Three Laws of Psychology. So if you find that interesting, please Google it, Amazon it. But without further ado, main premises of this presentation, and there are several. Human development is defined by the emergence of new dominant needs. New needs cause age crisis, marking beginning of new life stages, and the life causes sequence of age crisis occurring at a given sequence. So that's the summary of my presentation. I don't want to finish right now. Give me another 14 minutes, I will elaborate a little bit more. The challenges of defining the cause of life and life stages. So there are many, many disciplines which look into this subject. Here I just listed some of them. The list is much longer, but very quickly. Developmental psychology, gerontology, sociology, biology, family studies, educational sciences, medical and healthcare, and many, many others. And the result is, in sort of good words from Livingston, is that each discipline claims its special domain: personality, social role, biological functioning, and neglect the others. No disciplines or viewpoint can be the sense of individual life and its temporal cause, and as a result we have a fragmentation in this domain of knowledge, and I'm quoting, the study of the life cause faces insuperable problems. So let's try and see if we can resolve these insuperable problems. So I suggest for your review, for your attention, a single comprehensive criterion defining life stages. And that's very simple. Evolvement of new needs. New need opens a door into a new life stages, and we have a defined sequence how the dominant needs evolve during the course of life. So that's how it goes. Over the life course, dominant needs emerge in a specific pattern. Dominant needs can be of different origin. A rise of the new dominant need results in a psychological crisis. Reaction to an age crisis goes through a standard coping process, i.e. detection of the new need, confusion, acute disbalance, search for a solution, development of novel skills, resolution, and normalization. And we spent approximately half of our lives in various stages of this age crisis. So the age crisis or age transitions are followed by the period of normalization. And what I'm saying here is that maybe it's not so wise to refer to this phenomena as age crisis because they are predetermined, they occur so often. Maybe we should try to start calling them age transitions. And when we kind of normalize them and say, calm down, people, it will happen to you. You will hit your adolescence, you will hit your midlife crisis, but it's not a crisis. Everybody goes through it at different levels. So it's not like we all want to commit suicide when we're teenagers. We are not depressed when we are at midlife crisis, but one way or another, please be prepared. It will most likely happen to you. And it's not a crisis, it's you entering into a new life stage. So, and that's basically the main premise of my presentation. That's the hard statement I want to make. The new needs define life stages. And when either you are a nurse, either you are a Marxist, if you are looking at the life from a completely different perspective, I'm saying that that's the criteria which can bring you together. So we can marry a nurse and a Marxist into a happy family. But it was very tempting, after kind of proposing this criteria, it was very tempting, of course, to try to put that into the scale of life, and forgive me for doing that. So by looking at the life stages, what I suggest is that humans go through development of the four essential dominant needs. So our life is basically a four-stage process. Process number one is obtaining a bodily autonomy. The second phase is obtaining social autonomy. The third phase is moral autonomy. and the fourth phase in physical and social demise. So the names for these four phases are kind of well known. Infancy, it's all about bodily autonomy. Childhood, social adaptation. Adulthood, when we try to become a model, independent moral beings. And then the old age is physical and social demise. Further on, I have hypothesized that for each of the life cycle, there are not less than three typical age crises occurring, and they're all similar. The first crisis is entering into meeting this dominant need first time. Like the most dramatic one is birth. So you are born into. It's probably the most dramatic crisis of our life. We never appreciate how difficult is it for a human being to be born. So you are entering into something. You are entering into the domain of bodily autonomy. You are entering into the domain of social being, into moral autonomy, or you start to understand that your organism is disintegrating and you're becoming old. Then the next phase is self-empowerment, mastering of the skills. When I'm 6, 7 years old child, I already know what the society is about. I think I'm almost there. And when by the age of 11, I go into my last childhood crisis, which is autonomy, independence, and I become socially independent. So when I'm ready to enter into the next gate of my life, which will be developing my moral autonomy, and I will go through this three-phase process again. But this is a minimum three cycles. I'm not saying it's only three; it can be more. And very often this need cycles, they interact. Like if, for example, if you take the adolescence crisis, age crisis, it's actually not one but two. One is related to the sexual development, which is a bodily function, and another one is development to the social nature of the human being. So that's my proposal. And when there will be a $1 million question. So what is it? Yet another round onto the classification of the human stages. Many attempts have been done. What's new? Why to bother? And in all honesty, if I'll say so, yeah, maybe this theory is not better than any others, but I can bring a lot of benefits, and that's what I would like to concentrate here in promoting it. And I will start probably with the last bullet point. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. It's an Occam-Razor principle. Basically, if you have multiple possibilities to answer the same question, the most probable right answer is the one which is the simplest one and which allows to counter for the largest number of different variations. And with this approach, not only am I American and a Marxist, but I'm saying that this is perhaps the very first run on classification of the human life course, which allows to unify different disciplines studying human development. For me, it doesn't really matter whether you are coming from a family studies, educational studies, biological studies. Just make your case that you identify the needs, which is so important, so global, that it concerns absolutely everybody. It doesn't really matter if you are living in New York or in Indonesian tribe. If you go to school or you don't go to school, all matters is what are your needs. And if one society develops along a slightly different need pattern, this can be reflected. But so far I cannot see it, but if it is, by all means. And it is adjustable, and it is personalized. It's probably quite unique, because imagine a life of the sportsman or sports lady becoming a high achiever at the age of 14, hitting newspaper, making good newspaper headlines, winning Olympic Games when 19, and when losing absolutely everything at the age 20, retiring from the sport. This life is very, very different from the normal life. But if you put it in the context of the emergence of new needs, you can actually adjust the overall scale of human development and personalize it to a specific person. We have very few unique people, but if we do, we can adjust the scale to people who experience strategies, wars, for example, dramatic changes. We can change that and we can start analyze their life course through the same lenses as I just described to you. So that's the end of my presentation. That's my second presentation today. If you are interested, I'm making another one on human evolution tomorrow morning. Buy my book. If you have any questions, please, I will be happy to try to answer them. Thank you for attention.